Today's guest is Peter George, a public speaking coach, professional speaker, and award-winning author. Growing up with a lisp and a stutter, Peter spent years avoiding communication altogether until personal coaching changed everything for him. That experience led him to create the AMPD framework. The system is used since to train more than 120,000 professionals across 50 plus countries, working with companies like CVS Health and Mohegan Sun. He is the author of the six-time award-winning book, Captivating Public Speaker, and hosts his own podcast, Public Speaking with Peter George. Peter, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dominic. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about your book. What inspired you to write Captivating Public Speaker?
Actually, a friend of mine, Bob Berg, who is a New York Times best-selling author, he and I were talking once, and he said, "When are you going to write a book?" And I said, I will. And he said, "Give me a date." And I gave him a date. And then from that point on, I thought, well, I gave him a date. I promised it would be done by then. And it was done. Well, actually, it was done about 2 months after the date I promised, but it was still done. And when I wrote it, I would read it back and look at it and say, "No, this isn't the way I train my clients." I so wanted it to be very similar to the way I train my clients one-on-one. So when you read it, you would actually feel like you're sitting there with me. So I rewrote it, and I still didn't like it. And then I rewrote it a third time, or I wrote it a third time, and it was exactly how I wanted it. And fortunately, it sells very well, which is great on my end. I'm happy about that. But even more so, and much more important, is that it helps that many more people.
All right, thank you so much, Peter. So, what is the biggest misconception people have about becoming a great public speaker?
The biggest misconception is people think that public speaking is to inform people. And it's really not. It's to transform people. A lot of us have been to meetings where, let's say that meeting's an hour long, and we leave that meeting thinking, I'll never get those 60 minutes back in my life. And that's because we left the same way we went in. The only difference is we have a little more information. And whoever held that meeting could have sent a document to us if all they wanted to do was give us information. And we could have read that at home in our favorite chair. We didn't have to go to a meeting for it. And it's the same thing in public speaking, whether it's in a conference room, one person across a desk, or 1,000 people in an auditorium. If they leave the same way they came in with just some additional information, then we didn't do our jobs. Our job is to transform them, to have them think differently, feel differently, act differently, do something. That's our job as a speaker, as a presenter. But most of us just look at it as, I just get up here and inform people of things I know. And that's unfortunate.
Okay, so how did your own experience with a lisp and stutter shape the lessons in this book?
Well, growing up with a lisp and a stutter, the last thing I wanted to do was communicate with people. I didn't speak much at all. As a young kid, I spoke to my friends, my closest friends, and my family, and that was it. I didn't speak in school or anywhere else. So the last thing I thought I'd ever be doing is communicating with people. And the way it comes through in that book is I try to have empathy for the reader. In that, well, with a reader, I don't know exactly what they're going through, whether they have some type of speech impediment or fear or whatever it might be, fear of being judged, whatever. And I try to have empathy in that book for where they are. I also try to be very encouraging because this is something anyone can do. There are very few born speakers, if any. Most of us have to be taught how to communicate because it's not just speaking about your knowledge. It's understanding how two minds get together and one speaks to the other and the other one can engage and process what's being said. It's totally different than just regurgitating your knowledge. So throughout the book, I try to have both empathy and you can do this attitude. And from what I've heard, that gets received pretty well.
All right, thank you so much, Peter. So, how can someone overcome the fear of public speaking?
You know, Dominic, a lot of people will contact me and say, can you help me get over my fear of public speaking? First of all, that's not what I do. If someone has nervousness about it, that's one thing. But getting over the fear, if they want to work and learn how to be a stronger communicator, great, we'll work together. And that'll be part of it. But just getting over the fear, here's what I tell them. You don't want to get over that. Now, if it's clinical, they have to go to a psychologist. But if it's just nervousness, whether a little or more than a little, then they don't want to get over that. They think they do, but they don't. Here's why. Athletes retire quite often when they don't have that adrenaline anymore. They go to a game or they go to practice and they just don't feel it anymore. And if you get rid of that adrenaline rush, which is what you're calling your nerves, sweating, your heart pounding, those things, then you won't be in the right state of mind to help others, be of service to others. So don't work to get past your fears. Work to become a more effective public speaker because confidence comes from competence. And if you become a more competent public speaker, then will you still be nervous? Maybe. I am, and I've been doing it for almost 40 years, speaking on stage and in front of rooms. But I call it excitement. It's the same adrenaline running through my body. I get sweaty, my heart pounds, my blood pressure goes up. I feel all the same things, except I call it excitement. And most people who are used to public speaking will. Think of it this way, Dominic. You and I might go to ride a roller coaster, and you might say, this is great. I'm so excited. I'm sweating. My heart's pounding. I can't wait to get on this crazy roller coaster. And I might be standing beside you with those same feelings, sweating, my heart pounding, blood pressure going up, saying, I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. So it's how we label things. So don't try to get over your fear of public speaking. Become a more effective public speaker. And those nerves will become empowerment. They'll become excitement.
All right, thank you so much. So, how can speakers connect emotionally with an audience instead of speaking or simply delivering information?
To transform an audience, you need to know the audience. And that's one of the things we skip when we create a presentation. It doesn't make a difference if it's a 10-minute presentation or an hour presentation or however long it might be. We skip getting to know the audience. You have to know why they're there, what they want, what they need from being there and listening to you. And without that, you're just creating a presentation that you want to give, but you don't know how it's going to affect them. Now, you might think, well, everybody in the audience is a business person, so they'll all see it the same way. Well, maybe, but probably not. Here's why. If you have marketers in that audience, and you have IT people in that audience, and you have finance people in that audience, they all think differently. And what you're saying resonates with them differently. What a marketer takes away will be different than what a finance person takes away. And same thing with an IT person. You've got to know who's in your audience, so you research them. Easiest way to do that, whoever asks you to speak, ask them who's going to be there. And not by each person, but by groups. And that will make a difference. You can't speak about what you want to speak about and think that the audience is going to be engaged. You have to know them and think about what they want and need from you. Then you can serve them.
All right, Peter. So, who is the captivating public speaker written for, and what transformation do you hope readers experience?
It's written for anywhere from professional speakers to people who are going to speak in just about any situation, whether that's in business, in a conference room, at a conference. It's written for the people who are going to get up in front of other people and be of service to them. What I hope they get out of it is just this. And if they take nothing else away from our time together, Dominic, I hope it's this. It's not about you as a speaker. It just isn't. When I was young, I thought it was. I thought it was all about me. That didn't help anybody. The only thing it helped was my ego. And then I realized what speaking really was. And that is, it's not about you as the speaker. It's about the audience. Everything being done, everything being said, every slide if you have them, every prop if you have them, has to be there to help the audience, not help you. So many of us put up slides so we can remember what to say next. Well, that's helping you, not the audience. So that's not a good slide. Everything you do needs to be about that audience because you're there to serve them, be of service to them. And that's when it'll make the greatest difference in their lives. And then, truthfully, in yours as well.
All right, thank you so much. So, if readers remember just one lesson from your book, what do you hope it will be?
Well, I just talked about it's not about you, it's about the audience. So I'll come up with another one. Anybody can do this. Anybody. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a huge vocabulary. I don't. I grew up not speaking, so I didn't develop a large vocabulary. You don't have to be eloquent. I'm not. I speak very matter-of-factly. So anybody can do this. Don't think you can't, because you can. And I've seen people who still have stutters get up and speak. I've seen people who still have lisps get up and speak at major conferences, getting paid tens of thousands of dollars. Anybody can do this. You just have to learn how.
All right, Peter, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing the insights behind the captivating public speaker. Your book is a powerful reminder that great communication isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic, prepared, and connected to your audience. We appreciate you joining us and wish you continued success with your book and the lives you are helping to transform. Thank you so much, Peter, for coming to Hidden Secrets in Books.
Dominic, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And to my audience out there, thank you all so much. You guys are the real reason why we always do this every day. And you all do sure to check out his book. For myself as well, I'll be doing that because I want to get better at public speaking. I've watched a lot of podcasts and people talk about how much money you can make if only you can speak better to the public. So I'll definitely will be checking out if so someone like Peter who stutters. I myself I still have some times where I do stutter and I struggle with public speaking. So I think a great start would be for people like me and people like you, if you are like us, to get this book. So Peter, how can they get your book and how can they connect with you?
They can connect with me, learn about how I help people, and learn more about my book at Peter George, George, petergeorgepublicspeaking.com.
All right, once again, thank you so much. And thank you to all my audience. And you all do have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Dominic.